I remember putting in my notice at a company that I was happy with and very comfortable with because I had built a lot of great friendships and relationships, but I wasn't growing and learning as much as I could anymore. And it felt like I was ready to move on. So I put in my notice, and I remember typing up my letter the night before and printing it out and putting it into an envelope and walked it to my manager's desk at the time. My cubicle was here and hers was two ahead of mine. And I went in super early just so that I wouldn't see anybody, and I put it on her desk. And I went back to my desk and I just sat down and waited, and I was very nervous. And I heard my manager come in, and 2 minutes later, as soon as she sat down, I heard my phone ring. So I picked up my desk phone, and it was the senior VP telling me to go to her office. And I felt so nervous, I don't know why, as if I had done something wrong. And I was walking down the hallway into the senior VP's office, and she said, "Oh, Ricky, come on in. Please close the door behind you." And I closed the door, sat down, and she said, "What's going on? I just heard that you gave your notice. Why are you leaving?" And I told her I've been reflecting a lot, and it was a hard decision to make, but I got to a point where I wanted to continue to grow and learn more, and I found a great opportunity at this other company that was offering me this manager position that I had been looking for. And the senior VP looked at me and said, "Well, we can do that. We can do that here. You don't have to leave to do that." And I was caught by surprise when she said that very upfront and very quickly. Part of me was happy to hear that because I was pleasantly surprised to think, oh, you can just make that happen. But the other part of me was a little bit cautious. So up until then, at that moment, nothing had changed. I had previously already, for the past year, been expressing my interest in becoming a manager and growing my career. And I had been sharing that with my manager, and I was being told, well, we don't have that role right now. And so it just never happened, and it wasn't happening, and there wasn't action being taken towards that, to my knowledge. And the big learning from this for me was that I realized what my worth was. And at that moment, my manager and the senior VP of the team also realized that I realized my own worth. So for the senior VP to be able to just instantaneously say, "Oh, well, we can do that for you," it let me know that they already knew I was performing at that level of being a manager and that I was capable of doing that. They knew before I knew and believed it for myself. So when I put in my notice and let them know that I made this decision for myself, and I found this opportunity where I got a job offer that I was happy with and I was going to pursue it, they felt threatened in that moment because they realized that I realized my own worth. And that was one of the biggest realizations and learnings that I still carry with me to this day, because if I hadn't come to realize that for myself, I don't know how long it would have been that I stayed at that company. And I don't know how long it would have been until my manager at the time, or the senior VP at that time, proactively took action to help me develop and grow in my career, because they recognized that I had the ability to do that. Now, the other way of looking at it could be, maybe it wasn't up until that moment when I showed them and told them that I made this decision to leave, that proved to them somehow that I did have leadership potential and that I was ready. I will never know that answer, but all I know is that in that moment, it felt great that I was being offered this magical position, to come out of thin air. But at the same time, it also made me feel as though I wasn't truly being seen and valued up until there was a risk of me leaving. Because by me indicating that I was going to leave, that would have left a big gap, and it did leave a big gap and a hole for them to have to fill. And to be honest, they probably had to go out and recruit someone and end up paying more than they would have to keep me happy and to keep me growing and learning in my career by allowing me that position in the first place. If you're interested in hearing more about this story or what I did afterwards to continue to grow my career, or more tips in general,